morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us today, as I have the pleasure and the honor to give you the moderator of the event. So please give a warm welcome to our renowned Triple Crown winner of Giro d'Italia, Tour de France, and the World Championship in 1987, a cycling legend, Mr. Stephen Roche, please.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. It's nice to see so many of you here present, and of course, so many joining us online. Very welcome to our short conference this morning. We all in the cycling industry in one end or another, and we know that cycling is not just guys riding around bikes in Lycra anymore. Like years ago, a guy rode a bike, went training, came home. There were cycling events, there was trophies, and it was basically all about cycling and the man and his machine. But over the last number of years, with the development of cycling and everything around cycling, we have learned that cycling can also be used as a marketing tool for products, for countries, for destinations, for everything. And we also realized that cycling and everything around cycling can also fuel the economy, whether it be by tourism, whether it be by employment, whether it be component manufacturing, all these different aspects that we have all learned over the years the cycling industry needs. We also learned during the pandemic that having product and components produced and developed far afield causes problems to our supply chain. And the more we are central, the easier it could have been to supply our suppliers and distributors with all the different components. So of course, I can reflect back to 2014 when the Grand Partenza started in Belfast, and I was part of the organization. The National Tours Board came on board to help promote the Irish tourism to the foreigners far away. But we also targeted investment. And we just know that since the Giro left Belfast back in 2014, there have been hundreds of bike shops have been opened. It's created hundreds of employments. It's created a healthier lifestyle for the population because many people got introduced to cycling and are now cycling either to work or weekends or joining clubs. It also helped, of course, our national health organization because of the fact that we've got a healthier population. It's also helped people have seen Ireland on different continents and thought, okay, well, what about Ireland and investing in Ireland? Looks a nice place. Where is it compared to Europe? Okay, there's the UK in between. Now there's Brexit and what have you. Wasn't there in 2014. But nevertheless, we had a big interest of people looking to relocate in Ireland with different fiscal advantages and what have you. But nevertheless, we realized since then the importance of developing and producing product in Ireland, in Europe. Of course, Hungary is a lot more central than Ireland. Ireland's a beautiful country. It's very green. Doesn't rain all the time. We have some sunshine now and again. They're great people, great workforce, great mentality. The Guinness is very good. The Irish whiskey is beautiful. But at the same time, when you're trying to export, it has certain complications because of its distance to the rest of Europe. Whereas Central Europe and Hungary are very central to everywhere, ideally located, ideally situated for exporting to other European countries. Everything can be, of course, shipped or trained or transported by road. So it makes Hungary a great destination for any potential development. Over the last couple of years also, we've seen like the likes of the Tour de France and Giro d'Italia and the Vuelta exporting their expertise and their event to other countries. Like the Giro d'Italia has been to Israel, to Spain, to Holland, to Ireland over the last couple of years. And you might say, well, what's the Tour of Italy got to do with Hungary or Belfast or Holland? The Tour of Italy, like the Tour de France, is a part of the heritage of cycling. And of course, the Italians and the French love their national tours, but at the same time, they realized also that the cycling is now worldwide, not just a European or national sport, it's worldwide. So we have to bring our events to the fans, to the people who enjoy cycling, rather than be selfish and keeping our event to ourselves. So the last couple of years, these big events have been going further and further afield, and bringing the spectacle to different countries. And these different countries have been, they've been overwhelmed by the success and by the organization of the Giro, overwhelmed by the media coverage of the Giro, overwhelmed by the interest of other countries to host the Giro and the Tour and the other big events. So it's by no chance or no luck that Hungary has the Grande Partenza. Hungary has identified this great event as a marketing tool to showcase the country on all the different platforms around the world that the Giro will be promoted on. And I must say, I've been here for a couple of years now, and I'm really been delighted to have been part of this journey. I've watched it grow from the very beginning to what we saw last night was a magnificent team presentation. It just goes to show that Hungary can really up the level, up to the World Tour, the World platform, to host such a great event. And I'm sure we're going to see some fabulous cycling now in the next few days. But it's not all about cycling, like we said. That's why we're here. We're here to talk about the business and other opportunities that could be around the cycling. So let me just introduce our program today without any further ado. So shortly, I'll be inviting Mr. Robert Ishii from HIPA to the podium. Robert, you maybe join me in a minute. Mr. Paolo Bellini from RCS Sport. And Mr. Erhard Bucherel from CONEBI on the stage, please. We'll have some questions to these guys. Bobby?
It's informal.
So once we'll have a couple of questions to these three guests, and then we'll go on then to a video shots from both Giant and Bosch and Excel. We'll have three presentations online actually, and we'll be able to we'll be asking these persons questions when we get there also. So if I might just continue on and ask our first question to Robert. HIPA is the National Investment Promotion Organization of Hungary, responsible for the foreign and direct investments. Why is the Giro d'Italia Partenza important for you? And what was the motivation for you to organize the event here in Hungary?
Well, thank you very much, Stephen. And first of all, a warm welcome to all of you here in Budapest, and also those of you following us online. Thank you very much for joining our event. And I think based on the introduction, the answer is quite easy. First of all, it's a historic milestone, and as a cycling enthusiast, I'm really happy to host such a prestigious cycling event for the first time in our country. That's number one. On the other hand side, this event is really putting the spotlight on Hungary. I understand up to 800 million viewers will follow the race, so this is giving us, of course, a huge marketing exposure from a tourism perspective, from a sports perspective, and us as an economic development organization, we thought, why not also from economic development point of view and business point of view? So that's why we thought it would make sense to team up with the right partners, such as RCS Sport and CONEBI, to host an event around the cycling industry, because not only we have great traditions of bicycle manufacturing in this country, but we also have recent big successes in attracting foreign investors in the bicycle industry. So we would like to showcase this to all of you, and hopefully, based on that, we could start discussing about possible future cooperation.
Well, Paolo, you yourself are director of RCS, the organization behind this whole thing. Why did you decide on Hungary for the start of the Giro in 2022?
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much, and sorry for the delay. It's not always very good to start a speech excusing. But while I was coming, I think, and I will come to the answer, that today, if I came from my hotel here with an e-bike, it was much more faster for two reasons. The first one, you have incredible bike road around the city, so that's an additional point, like all the big important European capitals. And second, because there was very much traffic. So this is the first consideration. The second one, why we choose Budapest. I think it was, as the CEO said before me, it was a win-win situation from both parties. We are always looking for new market, for new cities, and of course we are looking for the best scenarios that we have in Europe, and why not out of Europe? But is a different story. Budapest is definitely one of the most important cities in Europe. Is an old and an historic city with a strong presence, and it was a perfect conjunction in between Giro d'Italia and Budapest. And again, Giro d'Italia is, we used to say, and every time is a sort of mantra that I used to repeat every time that I attend to any public opportunities, is the toughest race in the world's most beautiful place. And in some ways we are looking for place that means a great sport event in an incredible scenario, the best place in the world for me, of course, I'm Italian, that is Italy. But the conjunction and to work together with important destination for the big start means that we can provide not only a big sport event, but the opportunity to show the country itself, the beauties of the country, and all the touristic opportunities. The fallout is quite measurable every time that you do an international sport event. And again, our goal is to, and sometimes it's funny because Italy has Giro d'Italia since 1909, so we are the 150th edition, but to be honest, there were two world war in the middle. And we as Italian consider Giro d'Italia as a part of the country. The others look at us as a special event in a special country, and they use Giro d'Italia to promote themselves. It's funny, but this is, and it works very well. So that's the reason, and I'm very happy. I have to say that it was the longest big start of the Giro of the history, because it's 2 years that we are trying to start from Budapest since 2020. We present in 2019. There is an incredible enthusiasm by the citizens all around. We had the pleasure to have the first Hungarian pink jersey rider last year, Attila Wolter, for 5 days in Budapest, in Giro d'Italia. So we have all the right ingredients to cook a fantastic plate. So thank you very much, and have a good Giro. Thank you very much.
Paolo, have you organized the weather also? Have you organized some sunshine, or?
You know, I'm quite scared this year because in Italy we had no rain and no snow for the whole winter. So I'm expecting at the end of May up to the mountain, up to the Alps, to have tons of snow. But anyway, this is the bad thing and the good thing of organizing outdoor event. When you organize an outdoor event, everything can happen. The weather is yesterday. At 3 o'clock, it looks like to have a shower just in the team presentation, and then at 5 o'clock, boom, the sky open, a fantastic sun, and even the weather was expecting for 2 years the big start of the Giro. So I hope that everything will be good for the next 3 days.
Yeah, CONEBI releases annually the bicycle industry and market profile that includes a lot of information on how the market is evolving. Based on this, where do you see the market going, and what are your reflections on the current trends?
Well, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me here to this very nice round. And okay, you must excuse me if I'm now coming with some rather dry facts, but I think this is also necessary because in this case, the bicycle industry and this bicycle sports, right, are connected to each other, and I think one cannot live without the other. So let me tell you that the figures for 2021 shows that the bicycle boom in Europe has not stopped. many people said, okay, this is only a bubble, and and then it will go down. But we just see the opposite, because in Germany, in Italy, in France, and in Spain, right, the turnover of the bicycles went up and was even surpassing the turnover in euro of the record year of 2020. In 2020, maybe more bicycles were sold, but in 2021, there were more e-bikes sold, with a higher turnover. So even giving another boost to the turnover of the bicycles. And you also must see, if you look at some special figures, then you can see that last year Spain recorded a record year, and the same happens to France, which have a increment of about 50%, right, and which is going up and up, and you cannot see any stop of this. What you can see is that the normal bicycle is going a little bit down, and more people are getting to the e-bike. And with the e-bike, in Holland, you have already more than 50%, also in Austria, but even in Germany, last year there were more than 2 million e-bikes sold, right, which is about 42% of the German market. And this is also, with the e-bikes, you get also certain advantages, because first of all, you get people on the bike who did not bike before. You can get also people there which where it was not possible to bike because they had some problems with the heart or whatever, but now they can still do this and getting more exercise and getting more healthy. And then don't forget about the congestion, what you already said, the congestion in the cities, in the city center. And with the e-bike, it's a perfect match, right, to keep the car a little bit more out, because with an e-bike you are faster even to your work in the city center, and against the conventional bike you also have the advantage that maybe you don't have to change your clothes because you're not sweating so much.
No problem parking.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So I think in this case, the bike has really a huge future, and this is not only the bike, but because the bike is growing and growing, also the production of the parts and of the accessories are growing, right? And you can see that in Portugal, for example, we have 121 million euro in 2020, 136 million euro turnover in 2021. In Italy, is increased by 38% to 528 million euro. And in Germany, the value of the part production increased from 1 billion to 1.35 billion euro. So I think this is a tremendous success also for the economy. And what also brings this in, this is the thing of reshoring, because of the problems with the supply chains and with the uncertainty from delivery from Asia. So more and more companies are starting to produce the parts in Europe again. And I think this is also, again, now a very big opportunity for the Hungarian investment agency.
Exactly. So if I'm going to open a bike shop, I open an e-bike shop.
Exactly.
Yes. Paolo, where do you see the interlinkage between the industry and the sports? And why should the bicycle industry be interested in sports events like the Giro and vice versa?
There is a very deep link and very important link. 3 examples. If we look at Formula One, how Formula One in the motorsport create a new asset, a new opportunity from a technological point of view for the cars that we drive every single day. The same thing happen in the bike professionist event. But there is one more thing that could be interesting. We launch one easy example. As I said before, This year is the 105th centennial edition of the Giro d'Italia. Bianchi is our sponsor and producer of a very famous producer of bikes from Italy. He created a new bike for the Giro d'Italia 105, and he created 105 new bikes dedicated to the Giro d'Italia. They sold, the value of the bike was in between 10,000 and 15,000 euros per bike. They sold all the bikes, 105 bikes, in 3 hours. That means that at the end of the day, there is a capability from the market of buying and be part. And if I look at the growth of the sport event of the riders around the world, we can easily say that bike is the new golf. That means that there is a new change and also big spending categories that can be attracted by the bikes. And of course, the first front end of all the bike producers are the sport event and the big races. The second thing, just only connecting to what he said before me, we launched in 2018 Giro E. Is Giro d'Italia with the e-bikes. There was a great Hungarian producer starting with us at the time of e-bikes, and we create teams of 5 persons that do the last 10K, 100K of the Giro. If I compare Formula E in the motorsport and Giro E, I saw exactly how grow the market of the e-bikes in the last 4 years. It's unbelievable. At that time, in 2018, the only one producer of bikes at that time was Pinarello for the road bikes that launched the new e-bike just only for the Giro d'Italia. Now we have an incredible amount of producer. Many motor bicycle producers are coming to the world of the bikes, because I think, I do not have exactly the figure with me, but I think that the percentage of what you can earn from a bike and a motor bicycle is completely different. But you will let me know later if I'm right or wrong. And through big event, also through Giro E, we can test and improve the level of technology of all the bikes. If I see what happened with the engine, the electric engine, if I see the autonomy of the battery in the last 4 years, there is big opportunities. And is for everybody. An e-bike is for somebody that want to compete, and you have all different ranges from the city bike to road bike to mountain bike. You can have all the opportunity to travel in safe security and do a different experience. Again, and I conclude. The link is very deep, because all the level thinking to the disc for stopping the bikes, think the level of technology of the carbon in the last 10 years, thinking how they could test on the professionist riders and then goes to the market. The same thing can happen, because it's a continuing discussion in between riders, professionist riders, amateurs, and normal people that try to ride the bike. Thinking how the bike, the progression of the technology in the last 20 years, unbelievable. If we think, if you look at the bike 20 years ago, it's a different world, and you know very well.
Yeah.
So the link is strong, and it will be stronger and stronger in the future. And adding the new digital opportunities, it will be even more, because you can be connected every time with the professionist riders, with your life. There is, if you think to the wearable connected to the bikes, you can have an easy scan of your health. After the pandemic period, we all of us think that it's better to have a healthy life than thinking to take a little bit of time for us. So again, I think that there is a great future for the sport event in the bicycle and for the bicycle industry itself.
Erhard, as the president of both CONEBI and WBIA, how do you see the interplay between the market developments and legislations at the national, European, and international level?
Well, first of all, I must say, because of the European Commission, I mean, we were able to have a very good climate for production of bicycles in Europe. Well, if you see to other countries, in America, there's practically no bike production anymore, while here in Europe, we are still producing a lot, and only with the production, we are able to develop new things, because before, if you look at the mountain bike or the BMX, this was coming from America, but now no more production there. The e-bike is a European baby, right? And in order to foster this European baby, I think we have to look that we get market conditions, right, not to destroy that what we have received. And among this is, first of all, right, more and safer infrastructure. Because yesterday I was talking with Piero from the Italian Association, and he told me that the mayor of Bari, he wanted to introduce more bikes and more e-bikes in Bari, but then he said, sorry, nobody wanted this because we just do not have the infrastructure. Yeah. We do not have the bicycle ways, right? And for this, I think it is very important that this is even much more developed and much more sponsored. And then we need also what we have at the moment and what we should not destroy. We have a relatively good legislation for bikes and e-bikes, because we have the e-bikes going up to 25 kilometers with electric assistance, the pedelecs, and these are regarded as bicycles. That means regarded as bicycles means that you can use the bike on the bike trails, that you can use it inside the city centers, wherever, that you even can use it in the pedestrian zones as long as this is open for the bikes. And this gives the additional boost. And if we would, and this is also, and if we would change this, this would be not good for the bike industry. It would really cut the trend that we have. And especially also being a bike, you can cycle this without helmet, you can cycle this without insurance, right? And this is, I think, these are things what we have to keep, right? And we want to get people on the bike, we want to get rid of pollution in the city centers, so then we have to go on this way. Yeah. And if you see also now, also with the cargo bikes, you can see cargo bikes are now used either to bring, now instead of from the helicopter parents, not bringing the children to school by car, but they are now bringing them to school with a cargo bike where they are sitting inside. Or if you look at for the shops in the city centers, you know, the trucks are coming to the end, to the beginning of the city center, and then it is loaded to the cargo bike who is delivering it to the last mile. And this is all things what we are doing and where we have the green footprint, and it is very necessary.
No limits. No limits. Robert, how did Hungarian economy cope with COVID, and what policies have been implemented to relaunch the economy in 2022?
Thank you, Stephen. So listening to the gentleman, I think it's clear for the audience that the bicycle industry represents a big opportunity also from an economic development point of view, if we have the right business and the regulatory environment. So we were thinking about it, how we could take advantage of this opportunity as a country. And I would just like to give you some examples of policies which are already in place and have been supporting businesses from different industries, including the bicycle industry, by the way. So for example, during the pandemic, we have made the decision that instead of spending large amounts of money on a social basis. We should rather focus financial resources on supporting companies which are ready to do two things. Number one, keep all the jobs at the company, and second, carry out new investment programs. So that was one of the key elements of our economic policy during the pandemic, which has actually helped us to relaunch the economy quite quickly. And that's why we had a GDP growth rate of 7.1% last year, which was the second highest in the EU. So in the framework of this program, also our organization played a certain role, and actually we got in touch with 1,400 different companies in the country, and we gave out altogether 630 million euros of financial support. And these companies have invested 1.5 billion euros during the pandemic. So I think that was a big factor of keeping up the momentum despite of the healthcare situation and the difficulties that COVID represented. The other example I would give to the audience is that if you look at the taxation system here in Hungary, it's one of the most competitive ones in Europe. On the one hand side, we have the lowest corporate income tax in the EU with 9%. It's a flat tax, independent of the size of the company. And on the other hand side, we are continuously reducing tax burden on labor. So any company which has employees back in 2016 had to pay 28.5% as a social charge, and now since 1st of January 2022, this figure is only 13%. So we try to enable the companies to create business opportunities, and of course this applies to the players of the bicycle industry as well.
And how well developed is the bicycle industry and manufacturing in Hungary, and what can Hungary offer to companies interested in further investing today?
Thank you. I have a nice slide summarizing the key players of the bicycle industry. And as I mentioned in the beginning, first of all, we have a strong heritage in bicycle manufacturing. So Csepel is one of the most renowned brands in the country, and still they have a 25% market share producing traditional bicycles. But we are also very proud of successful Hungarian companies like Neuser. So we have also Mr. Neuser here in the audience. They produce about 100,000 bikes and successfully market it, among other places, to the Netherlands and other countries in Western Europe. But also Gepida is a successful Hungarian company, both of them founded actually in 1996. We have another one, Kolikan, again, a smaller Hungarian company, which means that there is a certain know-how and experience in the industry. And of course, you will hear much more later on from the presentations of some of the big players, because we are proud to have Axel Hundland here in Hungary, and in Tószeg, close to the city of Szolnok. They have a capacity of about 330,000 bikes a year. And the chairman and CEO of the group will be with us virtually and will give his views. And I'm equally proud of having Giant, which is the world's #1 bicycle manufacturing company. And chairperson, Ms. Bonitu, will also join us virtually. She's a regular visitor to Hungary, so I had the chance to meet her 10 days ago in person. And also we were supporting the company during the site selection process, and we were also supporting their investment financially. And they have a long-term target of up to 1 million bikes a year. And last but not least, we also have a representative of Ananda from China, which is a newcomer to the country. And they decided to set up shop during the year of the pandemic in Székesfehérvár. So there is also a dynamism in the industry. So we would also like to use the presence of the Giro and these players to potentially grow the ecosystem here in the country, for which we have also some tools that I will talk about later on.
Sure. And as we discussed the connection between the market development and the good legislation for the industry and consumers, do you think there is also a link between the market development and the ongoing supply chain disruptions?
Yeah, this is actually the toothache of the bike industry. Because if you look at basically all the factories, whenever I talk to my customers, then you always have the same situation. There are 95 to 98% of the products in-house, right, in the store, and 2 to 5% are missing. And because of this 2 to 5% missing, you are not able to build the bike. That means you cannot deliver the bike. You have a tremendous expansion of the store. You have also tremendous expansion of the money what you put there, which is not rolling, but it was put in the store. And well, I don't think that this will change completely in the next future, because whenever you think it is getting better, then it's getting worse. First of all, it was the pandemic, right? Then there was the tanker in the Suez Canal, right, which created a lot of problems with the shipping, and also a tremendous price increase. If you look, for example, a container in 2019, a 40-foot container from Far East to Europe costed about $1,200, while at the moment we are paying between 12 and 14,000 $. So this is more than 10 times. In the top, we also paid 20,000 $, right? This is completely crazy. And then after that, right, there was a lockdown because of pandemic in Vietnam, in Cambodia, in Taiwan. Also, this was not helpful. And even now, if you look at the situation in China at the moment, because of the lockdown in Shanghai, I think more than 750 ships are waiting in front of the port in order to be unloaded and loaded. And this will be a very big issue, because you do not have enough containers to load, you do not have enough shipping space to load, and this will go on until this will be back to normal again. At least you need 3 to 4, maybe even 5 months, right? And that the other big problem, what you can see is it's about from here, I think 300 kilometers away, is the Ukraine. Yeah. Right, and with the situation in the Ukraine, we got a very big problem, because some raw materials are not coming. The raw materials what are coming are getting more expensive, right? And you must be happy to get it. If I buy for my production, if I buy the raw materials, I'm happy to get it. If you ask for the price, then the guy says, okay, if you want to negotiate the price, sorry, then I have so many other people, right? Either you take it or you leave it. Yeah, and this is in the moment completely unpredictable.
And how do you perceive the supply chain disruptions right now? And do you think the supply chain will ever go back to the way it was before the pandemic? And what will we experience? Will we experience some structural changes?
Well, I think at the moment, the steps what are taken is what I already told you, that many productions is now being reshored to Europe, which I think is the right place, because you shorten the supply chain. You are not depending on the shipping. You are having less CO2 what you burn because of no shipping, and this will get better, but I don't think that we will come back to normal. We will not come back to the situation between 2019. We will have another back to normal. Like we will also have the political situation in Europe. There's also not a completely different back to normal, right? And also in the supply chain, this will be different, because reshoring, right? Is one thing, but then you also must get the key components to be reshored. I think this is a little bit more problematic. We try our best to overcome, but it will not be easy.
Not be easy, yeah. And Paolo, how are the sports events like the Giro evolving around what new races are being added? And what about the development of the e-Giro? You mentioned it earlier on, but what about it?
The gentleman that talked before me, I was thinking, and I will come to the answer. We should invest a little bit in something that we take in consideration also with the sport event and the big tours. We have to try to open our market to the kids, because we have some problem. The medium people that look at the sport event or are a client of bicycle is in between 30 and 50. In cycling, especially on television, and especially in this moment of digital society, kids are looking only for something that maximum it takes for 1 hour. So we have stages of 6 hours, because this is the epic and the good thing of the sport event. So we have to invent something, or to try with the technology to keep all the young generation to start to see cycling on television and start to use the bike, because the lackness of infrastructure in the cities, the lackness of capability of riding by themselves, as when I was a kid, is a big problem. Second, we see that I think that there will be a big market in front of us, a very big market, and I follow. We have, because at the end of the day, the final client and the people that use the bike do not understand all the people, all the difficulties of the production chain. I think UCI is programming to do the World Championship in Africa. I mean, guys, it's open, a market that is open incredibly. There is a part, if I look back to some other sport, such as athletics, track and field, tennis, golf, and some other sport, the level of the participation in between men and women is more or less the same. So there is a market for the woman in this moment that is unbelievably wide and open. And when we are talking now today only about a bicycle, but then there is uniform, there is a 3 times or 4 times market behind. There is, for me, in the next 10 years, there are incredible opportunities of growing and incredible opportunities of creating a different approach to the bike. Some consideration just only in Italy, the tourism with the bikes is around 7 billion. We need infrastructure on the road, but also train that can transport the bikes on the train, so they can start from London and easily arrive in Sicily. Again, is a problem of European problem and a problem of connection in between different countries. I think that in the next few years we should open also to race, agonistic race or important race in some developing country. Not too many, because at the end of the day, if you look at the market, the real market of the epic and the strong races, it remains Europe, because Europe is the history of cycling. But we have to invent something together with UCI and all the actors that goes around cycling. And we are talking about road cycle. Then there is an incredible amount of other opportunities in the world of cycling. To conclude, I think that we should start to organize this kind of event much more in the countries, not only to sensibilize the political decision makers, but also the people to understand exactly what could be the opportunities, because it's a good way of growing, and as said very well before, it's an opportunity not only for health but also from an economic point of view. Because if I look at Italy as a bike producer, we were for a long time by far #1 in road bike producer. We are the most important. And then the world turned on carbon. Carbon goes to Taiwan, and we reduce the size of our activities. Now the world is open. So it's again, after 20, 15, 20, 25 years, the wheel, because we are talking about wheels, change, and there are new opportunities. We have to be ready, because I think that it's a momentum. If we lose the moment, the risk is that we lose the possibility of 25 years of growing.
Finally, Robert, what is the role of HIPA in supporting businesses in Hungary, and what services can you offer to interest potential investors?
Right, so if now, based on the discussion, any of the participants identify Europe as the place for opportunity in the bicycle industry, or because of supply chain issues, or because you want to be close to your customer, you're considering increasing your footprint, then how can an organization like us support you in your plans? You will hear successful case studies coming directly from the companies, but in a nutshell, what I can tell you is that you should look at HIPA as your partner here in Hungary if you think about any economic activity in the field of bicycle manufacturing. And the way we can support you is, first of all, we can help you identify the right location within the country, taking into account different aspects from labor availability to taxation, available incentives, local infrastructure as well. We have a team which specializes in location selection advisory. Secondly, we are also your partner to support your business case. So we have financial tools by which we can support you to improve the return on investment in Hungary. And I will give a few examples on that. Last but not least, we also have a team which is involved in supplier development, which means that we can help you to optimize your local value chain by proposing capable Hungarian suppliers who are experts in certain technologies and can become part of your value chain and potentially help you to optimize your costs. And last but not least, we also are interacting with the government, and we provide policy advocacy type of services to help to further improve the regulatory environment. So these are the components in a nutshell, and I will just highlight a few details about the financial support possibilities, just as a cherry on the cake for those of you thinking about such projects. So we basically have three main categories for financial support if anyone is thinking about establishing a manufacturing footprint. The first category is called regional aid, and it is derived from the logic of the European Commission, which allows member states like Hungary to support underdeveloped regions of the country to catch up with the European average. Now, we have a favorable situation that most of the territory of the country falls into a category which allows us to support up to 50% of the capex of a relevant investment in bicycle manufacturing. And you potentially will hear about this from Giant, how we were cooperating with them regarding regional aid. We can give it in a cash form and in a tax form. Somehow the first one is always preferred by the client. Secondly, and increasingly importantly, we have the possibility to contribute to the training of your employees. So it's important to have employees with the best skills and knowing the latest technologies. So we can cover up to 50% of training costs, up to 5,000 euro per employee, up to 2 million euros in total. So I think this is a good tool for training your colleagues. And last but not least, if you were to bring any type of R&D activity, then we have a special tool just to support research and development. And by the way, this is also applicable in the capital city of Budapest, because Budapest is a developed area, so the regional aid does not apply, but the R&D grant does. So these are some of the tools, and of course, any of you interested, then feel free to reach out to me or one of my colleagues, and happy to support you.
Well, that just about brings our little informative meeting to a close. So Robert, Paolo, thank you very much for your kind words and information to our audience. And now we'll start on the second part of our program. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Paolo, thank you. Thank you very much. Well done. Well done. Thank you, Robbie. Thank you. Yeah. So we've heard a lot of very, very important information from our three guests. Now we have some case studies which we want to show you. I'd like to ask Madame Bonny too, from chairperson of Giant Group. I'd like to ask you to come on stage here and give us your presentation. Sorry. Virtually.
Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It is a great pleasure and a great honor to be here to share my experience with you. My presentation, please. Next. Next one. Giant Group. Our headquarters located in Taichung City of Taiwan. We established in 1972. This year will be our 50 years anniversary. Next. Next. When we set up in 1972, we developed our core competence, that is our production technology. And we are very fortunate. In 1981, we are able to launch our brand in Taiwan. Now that brand developed that we are able to have 14 sales companies and a global distribution network. In 2017, we repositioned ourselves as a cycling service company. We want to able to provide an ecosystem to all the cyclists around the world. Next. This is our 9 factories around the world. We start out from Taiwan, go to the China, and we reshore in Europe in 1997. That is our first factory in Europe, in Holland. And 2019, we have our Giant Hungary manufacturing. And our latest one is Giant Vietnam that we will start to build in 2022. We built our Giant Vietnam to support our Europe operation, to make it operation more smooth and simple. Next. We have 14 sales companies around the world, and we sell in more than 80 countries, and we have more than 10,000 worldwide retailing partners. Next. In 1972, we are only able to produce 3,800 units. But up to the last year, 2021, our production unit, even within the short of component supply, we are able to produce 4.9 million units with a sales revenue of $2.3 million. Next. Giant, we are a professional team sponsor. We start out in last century, and we have various teams, and we cooperate with these teams. They not only use our bike to race, but also is our best consultant and best criticizer of our products. So with their feedback, we are able to develop our new generation of bike. Next. Giant is an advocate of cycling. We even set up the cycling tour company called Giant Adventure to take the cyclist to cycle in Taiwan and hopefully to the rest of the world. Next. This is the beautiful scenery of cycling in Taiwan and Sun Moon Lake route. This has been chosen by the CNN as the world 10 best cycling route. Next one. Next. And this is some of the scenery. This one, I would like to introduce that Giant, we have the one and only female brand, Liv. Next. That Liv brand is the one and only female brand that devoted to encourage women to ride. This brand is for women, by women, and with women. Next. This is the picture that we took during their race tour in Giro Magnolia. This is Giro Italia, but female version. Next. Giant is quite experienced in running the bike sharing program. We run a very successful bike sharing program in Taiwan. We call it U-Bike. So this is some of the picture. We serve in 9 major cities in Taiwan and also 2 cities in China. Next. We strongly believe that cycling is the only solution to improve the environment, sustainability, social issues, and health. We strongly believe in clean city cycling mobility. Next. We even have an interactive cycling museum within the compound of our headquarters. It is not just for touring, it is interactive. It is, and we have a state-of-art installation. Next. So this is the interior of our museum. Next. This is part of the museum. Next. This is an installation for the tourist. They can experience the tour the Italia or the Tour de France. Next one. Next. I would like to share our story of Giant in Europe. Next, we actually set up our first sales company in Europe in 1986. Now in Europe, we have 6 sales companies. In the picture, that is our European headquarters. And that within that headquarters, we have a factory. Next. So this is our first giant Europe manufacturing facilities. And up to now, from 1997 up to 2021, we have produced more than 6 million units of bicycle in Europe with a capacity of 300,000 units of high-end regular bike and e-bike. Next. As you can see, this is our giant Hungary manufacturing that we started construction in 2019. And we didn't, even under the pandemic, we only delay for less than 3 months. We are able to start the production in July 2020. Next. So we actually start to negotiate with the help of HIPA that we are able to find a fantastic location in John George. And this is some of the picture that historically that we announced our investment in 2017. Next. Giant, we strongly believe cycling is a culture. We want the people to share our joy of the ride. Next. This is end of my PowerPoint presentation. Thank you for your listening. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madame Boni, for your detailed presentation. It was very much enjoyed and appreciated here by us all and also by our viewers online. If I may just ask you 1, 2 small short questions. Yes. How do you see the development?
Please go ahead.
Sorry. How do you see the development of the bicycle industry in Europe?
I think the bicycle industry, this is the foundation of the bicycle industry. And the bicycle industry worldwide have actually enjoyed a business growth for some years. Thanks to, especially in Europe, people are so conscious about the environment issue and also the healthy lifestyle. Europe is actually leading the way to make the bicycle as one of the solutions to improve the environment, and also leading in the electric bike innovation. We are very fortunate to be able not to only maintain our business during the pandemic, we even received a surprising bike boom in the past 2 years. The boom will slow down, but I strongly believe the growth will continue for a long time. On the other hand, of course, we're facing a tremendous risk and challenge in current economic and political environment. Coronavirus is not gone. it is likely to come back again after the summer. The war is not over yet. The chaos of the supply chain and global logistics doesn't seem to improve within the short term. And the inflation rate is soaring, and it takes a crazy long lead time to order the bicycle components and bike. The foundation that we work so hard to build are damaged within such a short time. We need to be brave to take this opportunity of growth, to take our responsibility, to continue pushing the bicycle to the world, because this is the right things to do. We should work hand in hand to investing in innovation, technology, and expand the manufacturing capability, investing more in onshore manufacturing, clustering supply chain, develop a shorter chain supply so we can be reliable and responsive to the market and to our consumer.
What is your experience in Jinjosh and working with the HIPA?
It is hard to talk about the experience of the last 2 strange COVID years, but we are very happy that we found a very nice piece of land in John George, not far from the Budapest. And it is a fantastic, beautiful place for cycling. Thanks to the tremendous support from HIPA and the municipalities of John George. I'm very happy that we are entering the post-pandemic time, and I hope we will be able to speed up the development of our operation. The first and the most important things for us currently is to recruiting the sufficient employee and that give them the training so we can catch up to meet up the market demand. We will continue moving forward to increase our manufacturing capabilities in our phase 2's development.
Many thanks, Madame Boni, for this, for your kind words on HIPA and Hungary and what Hungary has to offer. Now we would like to say goodbye to you, and we look forward to future investment and continued development of the brand Giant in Hungary in the future. Thank you very much.
Sure things. Thank you.
Bye-bye. So our next guest will come on stage for a presentation on behalf of Bosch, another success story. I would like you to give a warm welcome to Mr. István Szezi from Bosch, who will give us a physical presentation.
Thanks. A very warm welcome also from my side, ladies and gentlemen. Today we are here to talk about success stories in the bicycle industry, and this is what I'm also going to do. And I will talk about and I will share with you the e-bike Bosch success story. I've been working for Bosch since 18 years, and usually my professional time I spent within the automobile industry, and not only in automobile industry, but also in research and development area. And there is always the question in this community, what is the pure, real innovation? Is that the disruptive innovation, or rather the incremental innovation? There is no clear answer for that. But I can tell you today that today I will talk about rather an incremental innovation, which is the bicycle itself. I don't want to have any historical lesson, don't get me wrong. Most probably, most of you know that the bicycle was invented in 1817. But basically, that bicycle was a different structure, and there were several incremental steps during the industrial cycle. And you can remember maybe the very spectacular structure with very big front wheel and small rear wheels. And even myself, I cannot imagine how you can sit up so high and how you can make a movement with those bicycles. But a couple of years later, basically in 1885, the bicycle was invented and constructed as we know today. And this is what you can see on the picture, that Robert Bosch is using that kind of bicycle from structural point of view, of course. But this bicycle, of course, it was a different bicycle compared to the bicycle what we have today. Because there were a lot of incremental innovations since that time till today. And of course, we're going to have also a lot of incremental innovation also in the future, what I would like to also report you. Within Bosch in 2009, we picked up this idea, and we wanted to develop something which helps the people to cycle, but it's not so powerful as the car. And we thought that we as Bosch, behind us, we have more than 130-year automobile experience, and we thought that, yes, so we have a good basis, because we have experience, especially also in Hungary, if you consider the power tool plants, regarding to the cordless power tools in terms of battery technology. We have experience, of course, with electronic manufacturing. We have experience with R&D topics. And we said, okay, we would like to start this kind of startup company within the big Bosch structure. And we would like to develop a kind of powerful drive unit, including high-quality battery, and also including the HMI, which is the heart of the battery or of the e-bike. It's called onboard computer. Basically, we started in 2009, as I was mentioning, and 2 years later, we started the serious production in our production plant in Germany. And in 2010, we presented also this e-bike story and concept on the Euro bike, and it was a fantastic success. And we celebrated that, yes, this is a good idea, this is a good start, this is a good innovation, we need to go on this way further. Me as an automobile expert, I can tell you that basically there are 4 trends in the automobile industry today. One is the automated, electrified, personalized, and connectivity. And I can tell you that the e-bike can offer everything, every 4 categories. Let me tell you one story and some features in the field of connectivity. Basically, as I was mentioning, we had a lot of experience in automobile industry, so we had customers. We had some imagination of what the customers are expecting. But in the case of e-bike story, we had to rethink everything what we did so far, because we haven't known exactly the customers and their expectations. And basically the question was that just to get to know the customers, collect data, and just understand what the customers are expecting. And the basic and the crucial topic for collecting data was, of course, a kind of onboard computer, which is the NIO we introduced in 2004 and 2014. And this special computer consists of basically the e-bike controller, consists of a fitness trainer, and also the navigation system. And it's fully connected, of course, to the open world, because with the help of an application and with a connection, internet connection, it's a fully connected device. And based on this onboard computer and based on the data we collected with this onboard computer, we introduced also several features, digital services. We call it also smart system. Maybe the latest and greatest innovation, the anti-theft protection, where basically you can use your iPhone or smartphone as a digital key in order to protect your bike and to avoid that somebody will steal your e-bike. There are even more digital services what we can offer to the customers, because step by step we understand much better what the customers are expecting and what we can offer to them in order to make their ride even more safe, even more sustainable, and also comfortable and personalized. And I was starting my presentation that way, that we had to rethink everything what we did for automotive industry. There was some experience that we could use also for the e-bike story. Especially within Bosch, we had a lot of experience regarding to the brake systems, especially to ABS. And we were able to offer, of course, the ABS for the e-bike as well, which makes the ride even more safe and comfortable. But of course, by the way, braking. So if you're familiar with cycling, then you might know that in the city, the expectation of the bikers are different. So they don't want to follow the rhythm of the car, the flow of the traffic, because they would like to bypass basically the traffic jam with the shortcuts. And that's the reason why we do not need recuperation for the e-bike. So we don't offer any recuperation, because the e-bikers, they are riding in a different way as we could expect in early phase, basically, as we started developing such systems. And these are basically the innovations and the digital services what we can offer for this e-bike. These are great achievements, but the question is, what more? So what comes in the future? And I can tell you that based also on automotive trends, today the e-bike is something which is connected to the smartphone, and your smartphone is connected to the internet. With that, the e-bike is connected to the internet. But in the future, we expect that the e-bike will be a kind of IoT, Internet of Things. As usual, there are some Internet of Things equipments in your household or around you. Or we can expect also that you might be familiar with the vehicle-to-vehicle communication, vehicle-to-infrastructure communication, and we could expect in the future that the e-bike will be connected also to the cars, to the trucks in the traffic, and if the e-bike will be in the blind spot of certain cars or trucks, then also the car drivers and also the e-bikers will be warned in order to avoid any accident. So these are the future things what we expect and also we would like to introduce in the market. So basically, with that, we redefined the mobility of tomorrow. This is not the same as we had in the past, and this is not the same e-bike, and this is not the same bicycle as we had a couple of 100 years ago. But let me tell you one story which is related rather to Miskolc, and I'm proud of this story, of course, me as a representative of Bosch Hungary and the Adriatic region. And this is the story that basically, as we started within the Bosch, developing the e-bike and also producing the e-bike, a couple of years later, there was a management decision, and they have chosen Miskolc as a location for the e-bike production. In Miskolc, we have two production plants. One is the power tool, which is dealing and producing, of course, power tools, professional power tools, and also gardening equipment. And they are producing the high-quality battery for this e-bike. And next to this plant, there is the Robert Bosch Energy and Body Kft., and they are producing the drive units, electrical motors for the e-drives. And in addition to that, in Budapest, we have the second biggest development center in Europe within the Bosch structure. And we are developing also e-bike topics in terms of development. So with that, we can not only say that it's produced or made in Hungary, we can also say that it's developed in Hungary and invented in Hungary. And thanks to the HIPA support, of course, we made it happen. And today, not only we as Bosch, but I think the whole Hungarian economy could be proud of this product and also the development and manufacturing activities. The e-bike story is a real invented for life, as our motto is saying. Invented for life because with that, the people get the destination much faster and they can stay healthier. And at the same time, we can also protect the environment. And this is why we say, yes, this is invented for life. And yes, today, just have a kind of ride, bicycling, together with the whole family is not anymore wish. This is reality. Because based on our investigation and experience, a lot of people are willing, also the young people, are willing to invest into e-bike because they would like to also gain experience with the digital services, with additional services, and also with personalized, electrified, and with connectivity services. And let me tell you one misconception. And the misconception is basically that a lot of people are thinking that the e-bike, especially for lazy people or for elderly people, but this is not true anymore. As I was mentioning, also the young people are willing to invest into e-bike and they would like to experience that. And recently I received one very interesting fact from an e-biker from Germany, and he was riding 1 million meter altitude within 500 days. Within 500 days. And this is twice as much as the distance between the International Space Station and the Earth. So the e-bike gives superpower. E-bikes helps, and the e-bikes gives experience, which is very fantastic. So again, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. And I would like to wish you, with my upcoming videos, to experience everything I was presenting in my presentation. And you can also see the e-bike in the next to our room. So if somebody doesn't have or didn't have any experience with that, I hope that with my presentation, I was able to excite you in the future to try this kind of e-bike story.
What if we could change the way we think about cycling? For the ambitious ones, the urban trendsetters, or even the next generation. What if your ride was made safer? Are you okay?
I'm doing great!
Smarter.
Flo, please order my usual breakfast.
Your order has been placed.
Thanks, have a nice day.
I mean, this kind of smarter. And this.
I found a faster route.
And let's not forget the fun part. What if your bike was like a friend that knows you well? Really well. A friend that not only cares about you, but also others. And themselves. What if your bike could guide you, even in the dark?
Flo, take me to my friend.
To the most important things in life. What if we never stop asking, what if? For a smarter and safer ride for you and your community.
I must admit, I totally agree with your opinion that the e-bike is not just for kind of the third age or the older people or the unfit people, because I myself, I'm relatively fit, I'm relatively young, and I've also experienced an e-bike, and I must say they look more and more like a road bike now, and so you haven't got to be ashamed of riding a big heavy bike, and it's basically open to all ages, and I can imagine myself down the road, like I love my cycling at the moment, but I also like going up hills with my friends. At some stage it's going to become a day whereas not just my weight but my age will stop me going over these hills with my friends, and I want to find an option, a plan B, and I'm quite confident that the plan B is here.
Exactly.
So how do you see the market developing in Europe in the coming years, the e-market?
So I think the market is growing and booming. As we could also see in the first chart in the roundtable discussion that especially in Germany, maybe almost half of the sold units are sold in Germany, and it's very popular. So that's why we also collecting a lot of data from the customers and try to understand basically what they expect, and based on this expectation and also information, we try to develop the system. So this is the way how we believe the success story will continue also in the future in case of e-bike.
I lost my page. Little technical. Well, sorry, Peter, Stephen. And what would be the highlight? What would you highlight about the Hungarian business and environment to interest companies?
So first of all, let me start with some facts and figures about Bosch Hungary. So we have almost 17,000 associates within Hungary. So with 8 legal entities, and out of these 8 legal entities, we have 6 production plants. I was also mentioning in my presentation that in case of e-bike, the 2 most important plants are located in Miskolc. And of course, the most important asset is the associate. So this is everywhere where we establish a location. It could be manufacturing location, it could be development location. We look at the local ecosystem, including universities. So we are trying always to set up and establish close cooperation with universities. And I can tell you that we have brilliant, excellent universities in Hungary, also in Miskolc, also in Budapest, or everywhere where we established legal entities. And of course, the infrastructure development is going on in Hungary. So for us as Bosch, as a key player in automotive industry, the proving ground in Zalaegerszeg, for example, the Zala zone is pretty much crucial and important. We would like to use those in the future as it will be ready. The infrastructure, including highways, it's very important because basically we can approach the destinations between the legal entities very fast on highways. And of course, thanks to HIPA, to the financial support and also the good collaboration in the past behind us, we can report, because I think based on this very supportive environment and also very supportive ecosystem, I think it's a great place to invest in Hungary and also to grow and make even more successful business.
Thank you very much, Istvan, for your detailed presentation. I wish you the best of luck and long live the Bosch battery and the e-bike.
Yeah,
thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite our third success story to be an online virtual presentation from Ton Ambenbeck, who will be with us online shortly, from the group Axel. Ton, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Hi, Tom.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you very much. And my name is Ton Ambeek. I'm the CEO of Axel Group. And first, I would like to make my apologies for not being able to attend in Budapest live, but I hope the presentation is coming through in this way as well. So thank you very much. Next slide, please. Next slide. Our corporate purpose in Axel Group is that we believe cycling moves the world forward, which means that we think that cycling in general can play an active role in cities and societies to reduce congestion, reduce pollution, but also improve the health of people. Next slide, please. Let me introduce Accel Group to you. We make bicycles, bicycle parts and accessories, and we design simple and smart solutions in order to create a fantastic cycling experience for everyone who uses our bikes. We're the European market leader in e-bikes and second largest in bicycle parts and accessories. And we've got a lot of well-known European bicycle brands under one roof, like HIPA, the inventor of the e-mountain bike, Winora, Ghost, Batavus, Koga, and so on. Accel C is our private brand for bicycle parts and accessories. Those brands were built by pioneers for whom the best was not good enough, and we still embody the entrepreneurial spirit of those family businesses to this day. We aim to create high quality, high performance, cutting edge products driven by the continuous exchange of know-how and craftsmanship. We employ approximately 3,500 people across 15 countries, and our bikes and related products are sold in more than 80 countries. In 2021, we sold around 856,000 bicycles and recorded a turnover of 1.4 billion. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. This is our factory in Hungary, in Toszek. This is the place where we produce e-bikes. We've been there since 2002. Next slide, please. We intended to increase the production capacity by setting up a greenfield production location around 2000. And several countries and locations were visited. But the final choice was for Toszek, and that was influenced by the availability of land, labor, and a very attractive investment climate in Hungary. And that is still true up until today. So we're very happy to be in Hungary. The current site is about 180,000 square meters, and we use 50,000 square meters with a total of 25,000 square meter buildings. The current capacity is an output is 350,000 e-bikes. Next slide, please. Now, what are the main bicycle market growth drivers that actually underpin our expectation as an industry that the volume and the number of sold bikes can grow from 2020 to 2030 from around 20 million units to 30 million units. And that was 4 million e-bikes in 2020, and we are expected to grow to 18 million minimum in 2030. The first of all, obviously, is electrification. And that has worked quite nicely for us, like it is working for the e-car. The second is government investment in bicycle infrastructure. We need those investments on all levels, European, national, regional, local, because if there is no bicycle infrastructure, we actually see that people are not going to cycle because it's not safe enough to cycle. And that's why we're very happy with many countries, but also many cities, like, for example, Milan, who has announced to, in the coming years, to get 750 kilometers of bicycle infrastructure placed, that's going to happen because, you know, we currently see that if countries lack infrastructure, for example, let's take the example of the UK, where we have a very interesting market, but especially in the sports segment, because in the leisure segment, or I should actually say in the lifestyle segment, it's very small because it's not safe to cycle. Because the beautiful country lanes, and I lived there myself for 3-4 years, but it's actually not safe to cycle from a leisure perspective, from a trekking perspective, from a commuting perspective, or even from a going to school perspective. So if this is going to change, and therefore we need those investments, and luckily we see that governments on all levels are actually realizing that people can actually start to cycle safely. The third driver is government investments again in fiscal stimulation and in subsidies to make e-biking and biking in general far more affordable. And this is basically happening in Germany, for example, but also in Belgium. And there we see that the e-bike is treated like the e-car. But increasingly, we see that all over Europe, subsidies are getting in place, but also more and more fiscal stimulation measures are going to be prepared. The fourth big growth driver of the market is raising awareness, especially with governments, that's increasingly also being very successful, that cycling actively contributes strongly to a better health of many of our citizens in Europe. It reduces, compared to control groups, and there's been scientific research done in Denmark and the UK, and versus control groups, it reduces the chance of developing cancer with 45%, but also it reduces the chance of developing cardiovascular diseases with 46%. And last but not least, there is a big role for the branch organization, the Association of National Associations, CONEBI, is to get the right bicycle laws and standards in place. And that's extremely important, making sure that we have the right framework in all 27 EU countries going forward. So these 5 factors are basically underpinning our market forecast from a CONEBI perspective and from a CIE perspective, that we can truly achieve the 30 million bikes sold by 2030 and beyond. If you go to 2040, if this really is going to take place, it's going to explode even further. Next slide, please. So COVID has really put, and Green Deal as well, the bike on the political agenda of politicians on all levels. And it has helped to accelerate the growth of the e-bike market in the last 2 years enormously. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, that is also why, so coming back to those growth drivers, and you can easily understand that it's extremely important that we have a very good bicycle advocacy in Brussels, very good lobby organization, because strong, well-organized and well-funded advocacy organizations on a European, national, regional and local level are crucial to unlock the funds to stimulate our market growth, the investments in infrastructure and the investments in subsidies or fiscal stimulation. The role of the industry organizations on a European level, which are CONEBI and CIE, but also the role of the European Cycling Federation, ECF, representing the voice of the consumer, and the way and how they cooperate cannot be underestimated in the context of the strong lobby organizations of the car and the airplane industry, because the last 2 ones are currently that get actually most out of the big pot in Europe. And we have to be strongly organized to make sure that we get our fair share, because we are part of the future solution for many, many, many problems, as I argued before. So speaking with one industry voice towards the European Union, the Commission, the Euro Parliament, but also to the industry, is more important than ever before to get to those 30 million. And if we talk about 2040, it would not even be strange to think about 40 to 50 million bikes sold.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Tom. So you're over 20 years now here in Hungary. What made you come here in 2001?
Hungary, I've only joined Axel at the end of 2017, but as I said before in the presentation, we came there for a very, very positive business climate with a lot of good opportunities to attract labor and to do the right investments. And up until today, we've never been disappointed. So we are very happy actually to build on that position and to grow into the future even stronger than we have done before.
And how is your experience in Hungary, and what plans do you have for the Hungarian operation going forward?
The experience, as I said, is very, very positive, and there's a lot of investments that are obviously going to be done, anticipating the huge growth we see in the market. But unfortunately, due to competitive reasons, I cannot tell you a little bit more than that.
Sure. Well, Don, thank you very much for this great presentation. It's very, very important that everybody understands what it's all about. Now, I hope everybody has learned something, or from everything you have listened to and heard during this past 2 hours. And I hope that it gives you an idea as to what Hungary has to offer, and maybe it might encourage you who have not already invested to invest, and those of you who have already invested to continue investing. Now, with no further delay, I'd like to invite you all to lunch next door, where everybody can ask questions and mix and meet and greet, and any questions you might have, feel free to mingle amongst yourselves. And I'd like to wish you those of you who are staying for the rest of the Grand Partenza tomorrow, Saturday and Sunday, there will be 3 fabulous stages here in Hungary. So whatever about the business side of things, relax and enjoy the 3 days of racing. Once again, on behalf of HIPA, thank you very much for your attention. I know it's been long, 2 hours sitting down is long. So thank you very much for your kind attention and for all the presentations, everybody that's been on stage or online, and you, of course, watching virtually. Thank you very much for your attention. I hope everybody will go away with something. And once again, enjoy the rest of the Grand Partenza, and we look forward to hearing or seeing you sometime in the future. Thank you very much.